All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful weekend. We got an exciting week of earnings on the way, and as we get one step closer to the election, that is all everybody is going to be talking about. And now there are some interesting trends that I think you should be aware of. So I want to talk about the front running of the election, and not only just anticipation. The information I'm going to go over, you can use it if you want to try to anticipate, but depending on who wins and the composition of Congress, I do want you guys ready to see the types of things that could happen, or be at least be aware of what has happened in the past. So I got a couple cool things that we could start with, and actually I'm gonna get into it. So like the video, all that good stuff, but I've already brought this up for you guys in the past, and don't forget, there's a lot of things going on with the election. There's a lot of interest groups and who cares about what, but as far as Wall Street is concerned, people care about how Congress is split. The odds of a full sweep or a split Congress, no matter who the candidate is, that will have a different impact on the markets, and that is going to lead people to move differently. So that's the first thing I want you to see, but now we need to talk about the front run and what could be expected to happen. So now, as more and more people are talking about the Trump trade, and they're even saying that's why bonds should be down, and all these different things, this is showing you what happened the last time we had a Trump trade, but the quote-unquote real Trump trade is if Trump wins and you get a full sweep of Republican House and Senate. So this chart is showing you in 2016 when that happened, what stocks or what asset classes, how did they move 1 month later, and now you could see where they've been at since October 11th as certain odds have been moving around. So why this isn't important, because if we keep moving forward, if the odds of Trump increase or decrease, you will watch people front load this or start to dump in the reverse. And then, like I was telling you guys from the beginning here, if you actually do see one of these outcomes, you could kind of expect what's going to happen. The interesting part about this is that, and we're going to talk about that this a lot in today's video, is gold and the bonds. So obviously bonds, they've actually been doing better, whereas the first 1 month after the 2016 election under a Trump sweep, the 30-year Treasury actually sold off, and then good old gold. So right now gold is killing it, literally the best asset class of the year, but under the Trump trade, it is insinuating that gold would be going down. So you can kind of see how things are moved. Some people are already moving in certain directions, but this is something I would keep your eye out for after the election, so you could get an idea. Now, obviously, if the candidates or odds change in the lead up or shortly thereafter, I will be updating you on it. But for now, this is a good place to start if you want to know how to move forward, or just keep your eyes out for it, because I'm sure the next couple of weeks, we're going to see a lot of craziness. So we got that out of the way. I still got a bunch of other stuff to talk about. We're going to go over what is expected this week, the plays we made on Friday, a lot of the plays and earnings for this week. What I need from you, thumbs up on the video, make sure you're subscribed, and if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open, youtube.com/the stock market. We will see you there in the morning, baby. Run it.
Working to the couch, it's the 2020 election. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a live, but I still reinvest it. Feel how I feel, then you feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
But right off the bat, I already gave you guys the warning. The runway was cleared last week, pretty much until the election. All we will be getting is earnings. So you're not going to be getting a lot of data. There will be some other events that maybe they could generate some headlines. There's an IMF and World Bank meeting in Washington, so maybe we'll hear a little bit about that. And then the war drama might not be over. So last week, we thought the drama would end as they killed the leader of Hezbollah, and everybody was getting excited that this could mark an end to it. And then it started to ramp back up again. And then over the weekend, apparently there was a drone strike on Netanyahu's house, and I don't think that is going to lead to a de-escalation. So keep your eye out for oil. And again, like I'm saying, with the lack of events and it only being about earnings, this may be an area that we'll be focused on, especially if there's not that much data fueling the market. So beyond that, like I showed you guys last week, here is the earnings chart. Shout out to Earnings Whisper. This is where I get this chart from. And there is more earnings. That's one thing you guys got to look into. You do need to verify this list. And this isn't the whole entire list. There's actually a ton of companies. The only good thing about this week, it's not the major tech companies like Apple, Amazon, Google, but we will hear from Tesla, IBM, 3M, AT&T, Verizon, UPS, airliners, a couple biotechs, and I think even a couple of banks there. So this is the whole list, but remember, you are going to hear about the economy. So we'll talk about that in a little bit, but now I hope you do realize we are even wrapping up October, and we are saying earnings, election, and then the buybacks and seasonality towards the end of October and end of the year. This is pretty much what everybody is going to be talking about, but it is very hard to not talk about gold right now. It is literally the best asset on the year. Even silver is going insane. And why I'm bringing this up, because something you got to think about. Things are kind of in a lull as we're waiting for info on the election and then earnings and all of this stuff. But keep in mind, this move on gold is unreal. It's tied to central banks, worry, currencies, you name it. There's a lot of things going on. And again, even though the bank earnings were good, the fact gold is up and where it's at with the cycle and commodities, this is something that is hard to ignore, especially if, you end the year with rate cuts and a lot of things. But gold is even outperforming crypto right now. So keep your eye out for this. I do think in the next couple of months, this is something you got to watch. I think it's hard to play. I'm a big fan of holding physical gold. I am more willing to try to go for some flips on it as we get more info, but all I'm saying here is after the election and policy, I think there's going to be big moves. And at the fact of the matter, gold this high is hard to ignore, whether it's an opportunity to trade or if it's an opportunity and saying, hey, maybe there is bigger things lurking around the corner. So we'll see what happens, but I'm very, very excited. I would definitely watch out for that. And then the final key, as far as this week, I do think PMI data on Thursday will be the biggest event, but just remember, we are looking for these earnings and guidance to give us clues. There's going to be a lot of companies this week. Next week, we'll have even more of the bigger tech ones that I think can move the S&P a lot more, but remember, guidance and what these companies say, if we start to notice a pattern, that could change sentiment very quickly. If everything goes back to everything is fine with chips and demand and AI, and maybe there's a couple of bad people, but everybody else paves a good way, then it's not going to be that big of a deal. And then all eyes are going to be on the election and then rates. And just don't forget, last week too, even with some of the data, that rate cut narrative and this whole no cut November, that is still going to be in play. And that could be a driver. Or if you want to know how we're moving and understand it, remember, market is still in this soft landing mode. We cut rates. Long-term rates have been going higher. Short-term rates have came down. And it's because people are feeling that we've done enough, and as long as the economy's not slowing down, this is like the Fed did good with timing. Again, I still don't believe it, but we'll see as we get through earnings, election, all of this stuff, and then before you know it, it'll be 2025, and then we'll have policy and a lot of things to digest and all of that. But now, let us get into the plays. So, right off the bat, this is a weird one. I don't really like this one. I don't like it for the long term. I will be interested in trading this because we have traded it a lot, but Boeing, they have earnings this week, and quite frankly, they've been getting earnings or data left and right. They had a pre-announcement. They offered all of this securities and debt for sale. Then they got in trouble, and then they're just doing this whole back and forth thing. I even think over the weekend they said that they are selling one of their units off. So this thing has a lot of news, and to me it seems very bad, but it's holding up. So I don't know what they're gonna do on this earnings and conference call, but keep an eye out for it. I think Boeing does have an opportunity to be very volatile. I feel like in another environment, some of the news they announced would have caused a lot of panic, but it's kind of just floating along. Do Boeing's float? I don't even know, but that's the first play. Watch out for that. I don't have any exposure to that, so we'll see what we get into this week. And then number 2, Humana. So shout out to the long term as well as a couple of trades. We even had a lot of drama on this one on Friday. But Humana, there was buyout merger news over the weekend. It was towards the end of the day. Surprisingly, we heard the rumor from I forgot what it was. I'm blanking on the source. It's usually just opinion, and then after hours, it came in and got confirmed. But if you remember at the end of last year, beginning of this year, there were talks of Humana and Cigna coming together. So there's talks over the weekend that they're going to revive that. And then also the next day, Humana announced that they are suing over the Medicare ratings that they just got. Remember that big drop after we bought it and the star ratings? They're suing over that, and they're trying to challenge. I think UNH and somebody else, they have challenged before, and there's actually been a successful outcome for the company. So this was all good news. We'll see what happens. I do think we're going to hear a lot more, and this Cigna merger would be great. The thing is, in the beginning, December last year, they fell apart over the price. They couldn't agree on a price, and Cigna shareholders didn't like it. Cigna sold off, and then they're like, okay, we'll do buybacks, and then everybody forgot about it. And then Cigna is also selling their Medicare Advantage thing, and some people are saying that they just would sell out of that, and once they get rid of that business, they can merge, and it'll be a lot easier for the regulators. So that was the first thing. We'll see how it plays out. The thing I get excited about, we just bought it in the long term, but when they were having these talks, it was like a $500 stock, and if they did do a merger, we still get to hold it in the long term. We might get paid some cash, and then it transfers to shares, but you actually get to own Cigna and then the surviving company. So we'll see what happens with that, but I do have a couple of plays. We'll cover that there in a little bit, and then the final plays, all of the earnings. I think I gave you guys a good list last week of some big movers, and like I said, that list up above, it's not fully extensive. Let me know if you got any of your own, but 3M and UPS, surprisingly, I think these are going to be my favorite earnings this week. I like how they've both moved. UPS, even for the long term, maybe this is a last call, and we'll see if they can recover or not, but these two are going to be my favorite, and then I would keep an eye out on SAP, GM, Verizon, LMT, RTX, Tesla, IBM, Newmont. I usually don't like the gold companies, but with some of the hype, maybe they surprise. And then Dexcom, AAL, Skechers, WDC, Kimberly-Clark, T-Mobile, and then Walmart. These are the ones this week that I do think have the ability to move, but watch the pricing video, and remember, if it is pricing in a lot, I would be mindful, and I'd probably take the other side. I'd only play the side that is actually cheaper and you're getting more bang for your buck. Otherwise, good luck. I hope the information helps out. We'll see where it takes us, and now the plays I made on Friday, baby. So we talked about it on Thursday night watch list. After the TSM, I brought up ARM and Intel. I couldn't find one on Intel, but ARM, I thought these were decent. The only thing is they're mad far out the money, but they were cheap. They didn't have too much of a premium, and they had that time. So ARM reports in a couple more weeks. So this is very early. That's either going to hook us up or hurt us a lot. So we'll find out. But I grabbed 5 of the 260 calls for 30 cents a pop, about $115. Then I played AT&F. This was another one, man. Drug. If you guys didn't see that stock Drug, it literally went from like 90 cents to 70. And this is a record. I don't think any stock has actually moved like that in that short of a time frame. Even like HKD and all that, they didn't start that low. So it's caused a lot of residual movements. Even like an old play we had, like Bivy, that one came back up to life. So I grabbed on this one. I ended up losing like $200, but I'm still in it. So we'll see. But like I said last time, I think it's the YOLO demon on these. You got to be careful, but we've had some good ones. But I do want to make some of these free if case, or just avoid them in general. But that was the second play I made. And then we had the C2 play drama. So Humana, we were in the chat room, the stock market live, and somebody was like, you can make thousands of dollars. Why is no one listening? You make thousands of dollars. I was like, okay, man, you keep telling the chat, giving us FOMO. I said, tell me what to buy. And he told me to buy this contract for $800. I bought it. It was like at the money. He said, sell out at like $1,000. And then I was like, I don't like this. And I ended up losing $200 trying to make a point on the pumping. And then the bet, was it Betaville? I think the rumor came out. And then after hours, the news got confirmed. But on the second one, I didn't like the play. So shout out to C2. I'll talk about some of that too tomorrow. I feel bad about that a little bit, but at the end of the day, I did end up grabbing a cheaper play because these are the ones that I like. I don't like the FOMO, first of all. That's where the whole joke came from. But the $800 at the money, I think those are going to be up if it does open up at 280. But I decided to grab the 320s, 2 of them for 30 cents a pop, and keep it small. So remember, Humana has a huge range, but that one, we had a lot of eyes on it. We talked about it a lot on Friday, whether it was a joke to actually getting a serious play. And then if you got it on the long term, man, I do think that 280, if you got even more discount, you're going to love it even more. So there was that one, and then we're going to be writing that into tomorrow. And then ACHC, there was an investigation. I kind of snaked this one. I grabbed one of the December 35s for 35 cents. It went up a couple 100% and then chilled out, but they were part of like some investigation, or they're getting in trouble. I forgot the exact news, but we caught it early, and then it started to die, and these were still still decently cheap with time. So we'll see how this one plays out. But other than that, I'm going to be focusing on a lot of the earnings. I would keep an eye out for oil. We were talking about that a lot last week. Again, it's at one of those lower prices. So if that could flare up with any of the tensions, I definitely think that would be important. Other than that, though, I think it's going to be slow. I don't know. Maybe we hit 5,800 and we still engage in melt-up mode. But before you know it, I'm sure a lot more politics. Don't forget about gold at all. And then before you know it, we should have all of our clues in our final runway. And then we'll know who the pilot is. But Chad, that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you're healthy, ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. And I need you to remember, baby, you get reborn over and over. You revive and you heal. You become new. You become better and better until you reach the highest potential of yourself, my friend. I know you got it in ya. So get ready. Get that long term. Make sure you stay. Drink that water. Stay hydrated, healthy. All that good stuff. I'll see you in the AM end. Horn.